All right, guys. Welcome to episode 4 of Texas Gulf Surfer.
Excellent. Pumped to be here. My name is Jeff DiNicola, the Aloha Ambassador. My illustrious co-host, King of Surfside, Austin Campbell. Welcome, everybody, man. We're glad to be here. We got some stuff to cover, man. Most important to me is Austin, man. Give me a week surf report so I can plan my week.
Well, yeah, I guess that's the most important thing. We're talking about surfing. Everybody wants to know how the surf is. So, yeah, looks like it was pretty good yesterday, all up and down the coast, right? Everywhere except for where the contest was.
Yes,
yeah,
that's
it wasn't
pretty
too
much.
good there. But, yeah, Surfside looked pretty decent I'd say in the afternoon it started cleaning up. We heard, some other guys told us some stuff about down south, so looked pretty good. It looks like this week we don't have a whole lot coming.
Let's check.
I think I checked it out and said that it looked like maybe this weekend there might be something. It's going to get real cold, right?
What days that happen?
That's going to happen like Wednesday. Looks like it's going to be super cold. So it looked like the weekend looks like it's possible to have something maybe like Friday and Saturday. It might get kind of big.
Good.
But it doesn't look like it's going to be, from the report, it doesn't look like it's going to be anything clean up here. I think maybe down south it might be a little cleaner because of the way the swell is coming. So that's kind of how the surf report is. But last week we talked about, wave forecast, wave, height or whatever, right? We talked about wave height and one of the things is how we call the surf. Is it, knee high, waist high, chest high? How clean is it? A lot of people ask.
Well, like for instance, you said there were waves yesterday, correct?
Yeah.
How many swirly tops would you give that on a 1 to
Well, we're going to give that
5 scale?
We're
Let's
going
say.
to, yesterday it looks like we had about 2 swirly tops. So, and that's what we're going to talk about. Is we're going to have a little, we want to rate the waves. Some people they want to know if it's knee high or waist high or chest high, but they also want to know how good it is.
Yeah.
So we want to have like a scale, of like 1 to 5. So we're going to implement, everybody has stars and stuff, and
Swirly
so
tops.
we're just going to have swirly
Swirly
tops. And, right now I think yesterday was probably about 2, maybe 2.5 swirly tops.
Yeah, I would say
And
so.
something like that. So now it sounded like Stefan and some of them guys down south had like maybe five swirly tops.
Epic
So,
waves. As a matter of
yeah.
fact, let's get right into that little news up and down the coast, man. There was a lot of people in town for the Surf Museum, and there was also a surfing competition, the TGSA competition in Galveston. So there was a lot of people moving in and out from Surfside to Galveston coming through, and that was pretty cool. And speaking about South Padre Island, I know that Austin's going to tell us a little about Surfside. I'm sorry, South Padre Island. But Gaines Burns has given me some information. He's one of the local surfers down there. They're pouring sand. What a great idea on the Clayton's Pier, and it's making like a little wedge point break. So I'm going to make that a destination for me to go down to sometime in the spring. And the Texas Surf Museum went off without a hitch, from what I understand.
Yeah,
And
they had a good time there too. So yeah, so Erin, like I talked to Erin and SPI too, and she said that South, and she was in the contest too. So she just got
Did
back
very
down.
well.
She said South Padre Island surf was going off this morning.
Oh my
Yeah,
word!
yeah. She said it was going off. She said Galveston went flat pretty much. I think that happened here, but we had a little bit of. There was a couple guys out there.
Yeah.
She also told me that I think she was in the contest.
Yeah, she
pretty
did
good.
very well.
Yeah.
She's a great competitor.
I think she got first place in a couple divisions.
Yeah.
She also was telling me that one of the things I want to say is she was trying to get her surf camps going, SPI sessions, and she said she's actually looking for anybody in South Padre. She's looking for some staff.
Right.
So if you're looking for a job, if you're looking for a job down there, go hit her up. Aaron Hartwell at SPI Sessions. It's good summer job. So they're definitely looking for some staff to help them out. So then let's see what else. We talked to Papa Hop
Yep, Papa Hop
over in
Red Hopkins
over in
What do you have to say?
Galveston. So he said they had the contest.
Yep.
It was great. All divisions. The surf was pretty rough.
It was.
It wasn't the best surf. He said that all divisions had some great competition.
Certainly
That he said he thought the best heat of the day was Gabe and Chris Hopkins battling out in the men's open final.
Yes, it was
See
very
that?
close heat.
Yeah. He said that was a real close heat. It was like both had like 14s. One like a 14.67, the other had a 14.84. And Gabe came out on top.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's impressive to see. And if you haven't been out to a TGSA contest, we have one coming to Surfside in March. Very soon, and come see some of these guys surf. Some of the names that Austin mentioned, these guys are world class, and they rip, and it's a treat for me to get to see them do. It's like a show. I get to go to the competitions and see them do their radical.
No,
surfing.
great, Gabe.
So cool.
Gabe, I always say, especially, hey, shout out to Gabe. In my opinion, I think Gabe's, I don't want to make anybody mad, but I think Gabe's the best shortboarder in Texas. So I'll just say that real quick. But anyways, so anything he said, did Southern Spears, the local team, I guess, got first place in,
they got
in the
first,
contest.
right?
And, then he said that, guess the Mardi Gras, he's got coming up in Galveston. He was talking about that. He's saying, hey, if you're going to come down to surf, be careful parking. You're going to get trapped. So that's one thing he said is like, hey, if you're coming down to surf, and it's the same as Mardi Gras, if there's surf, be careful. You might get trapped. And I guess and the other thing he told me was that they got the Escuerda.
Yep.
Weren't they doing like a beach cleanup?
Yep, that's coming up from what I understand.
Yep. And then their festival's coming up in like May.
Yeah.
And so he wanted to just mention that. So, pretty much that, he said that surf report there has pretty much been like it's been here, nothing too special. And, that's, museum had a good turnout. So that's kind of the Galveston, Galveston update right there.
Yeah. Touching on the surf museum, because you were there, I didn't get to go. Rick Morris was there, royalty, local surfer here, taking pictures with all the big dogs. Man, I kind of like that. That was cool.
Yeah. There was a lot of people there.
People told me inside of that building's pretty impressive.
It's nice. It's nice. I actually got to take some pictures this time, so maybe I'll, we'll put them up sometime. We'll put them up on the Texas Gulf Surfer Facebook page and Instagram.
Austin here has a new buddy, Tillman Fertitta.
Yeah. We
Tell me
actually,
the whole story.
we were.
It's funny.
Tillman actually was there. He's a donor. He's one of the big donors to the Surf Museum. So he's out there, and we talked and hit it off a little bit. Talked about a few things. Told him about the podcast. Said he was going to listen to us.
Isn't that great,
and then talked about the surf shop and stuff like that. But he actually, I'll tell you a funny story. He was he was a pretty funny guy. Al Brown had him draw the raffle tickets for the raffle for a board, and the first ticket he pulled out, he said Tillman Fertitta, and laughed. It was pretty funny. And then I guess the second ticket he pulled, the person wasn't there, and the third ticket he pulled was Al Brown's.
Of all the people.
The people. So we're going to expect Al to be donating that back to the museum. So, but funny thing was, after we pulled Al's name, he shook the thing around and he pulled out some more tickets and he said, they all say Al Brown.
He has a good sense of humor.
Yeah,
man.
so he's a good,
I like that guy.
good sense of humor. So, but there was good turnout for sure. Lots of guys. We got there a little bit late. We were, I was working at the shop and doing some other stuff, so we got there a little bit late. But
so your wife went, a local guy, our surfer friend Chet Davis, and his lovely wife Tiffany.
Yep. Me, Kathy, and Chet and Tiffany went out there.
Cool.
So we met some other people. There was, like I said, it was pretty good turnout. That's the second time I've been now to see the different kind of exhibits they had, and so they had the Henry Fry ribbon cutting, and then they had the Blaker. So it was pretty good turnout.
Pretty cool stuff.
Yep.
Man, we're going to take a quick stop down to the Coastal Bend, Corpus Christi, man. Austin and I got to get Stefan Lewis on the phone for probably a good 15, 20 minutes. And Stefan is a super good surfer. He is, like Austin, he's an industry guy. He is always up on what's going on down there in Corpus Christi, and he's going to be our go-to guy. Always a positive attitude, and he's going to have a lot for us to say. So they got a little sneaker swell down there yesterday, and he was telling me at the Bob Hall Pier, even though it's under construction, that it was just flawless, overhead and some of the best waves that they have had there in a long time. And that's coming from a local, so I suspect that was really an epic event for them. He kind of described it as more of a 7.5 swirly top. Epic Corpus Christi.
So you're saying it like broke the scale?
Well,
7.5. We went, so it was that good. Yeah.
Yeah. And so there were really good conditions, a lot of locals down there, and that pier's coming along. As we get some of the technical stuff worked out with Stefan, it's going to be great to have him on, man, because he'll pop right in and tell us all kinds of stuff, who's who, and that kind of stuff. So he's a super entertaining guy.
Yeah. We'll get a bunch of good stories and stuff like that. We're going to try to have some people come on, just pop in, stuff like that. So, yeah. And I guess that's, what was that? I
think we pretty much hit everything, man. We're going to jump into. Hey, so for this week, man, this topic, we spent a whole week talking to people. probably myself 50 people. The topic is wave priority.
Surf etiquette,
Surf etiquette.
and safety out there, right?
Safety out there. I mean, we're one of the fewest sports that I know of that we can put 20, 30, 40 people out with a 4 and 5 foot swell. Everybody has a fiberglass sharp object with many levels of experience, and there really are some basic rules, but there are no rules because there is nobody governing what happens out there in the lineup. There's no surfer cops. There's no referees out there saying timeout.
There's nobody throwing a yellow flag.
There's nobody going personal foul, Austin. Okay, you are offsides. Unnecessary roughness on the longboard. We don't have that, so we police ourselves. And Austin talked to a bunch of people too, and even though the opinions on wave priority were consistent, different, and kind of left me more confused with the research we did than not. And there's a basic rule. Who's closest to the peak?
I think that was when you just asked most people, I think that was a lot of people's first answer was who's closest to the peak, right?
Correct.
And so, I have I'll be honest with you, this may continue into the next episode, right? So we have a lot of stuff to talk about. So just,
This is
hey,
a two-part deal
we
for
might
sure.
just say that, if we don't get to it, we might just have to make this 2-part.
Yep.
I will say this, there's a lot of things that go into, the priority part of the wave etiquette, right? Is like, there's a ton of things, who you're surfing with, how equal, if you're equal surfers as far as how good you are. There's a ton of things, your skill level. And one of the things that I'm, more concerned about is not as much when I'm surfing with, if me and you were out there surfing and we go on the same wave, or which way are you going, which way I'm going, or I drop, what I always say, I only drop in all my friends. We're all friends.
Yes.
But so it's different. Now, one of the things I'm concerned about, because, owning a surf shop and I rent surfboards, is you have a lot of new people out in the water that are really wanting to learn how to surf and they want to get into it. And maybe they don't know anything about it. I can't tell you how many people that I've rented a surfboard to that said, I've never been on a surfboard. So I try to educate them when they come in. I try to tell them, where to go, where not to go, who to stay away from, where, all the things from surfers to stay away from to the people that are just playing to stay away from. So all that stuff. So that's what's important to me about, telling them where to go and then encouraging them. You're going to encourage them to get better. Everybody doesn't want to crowd the lineups, but people are going to, if our lineups going to get crowded, I'd rather have them crowded with people who know what they're doing than people who don't know what they're doing.
Because it does get dangerous. And we're going to quote some people on just real easy question we would ask people. Who established priority on a wave? And the overall consensus opinion was guys closest to the peak. Well, that's great if you're lower trestles and the peak comes in and it's an A-frame and it's pretty simple who's going right and who's going left. That's not the case here in Texas. Man, we get waves that come in and crumble sometimes in a longer lines, you know what I mean, / swell. So you can have surfer A taking off here in the same wave, and then, sometimes 10 feet to 10 yards to a little bit further, you have surfer B taking off. Now, whose wave is it? Some people will tell you that it's the first person to their feet. I don't know that to be correct.
I mean, that's just, some people say it's first to your feet, but I think it's really depends on also, how far down the wave they are. If somebody's way down the wave and they jump up before me and I'm closest to the peak, I'm probably still going to go. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really, that's it all. A lot of it depends on who you're surfing with. If you're surfing with, like I said, your buddies, and which way you're going, I'm going right, I'm going left. But the thing is, as far as like, we don't have in Surfside in particular, like we don't really have a right or a left a lot of times.
We don't. That's what I'm saying. It kind of comes in a longer length ride. And not too many months ago, my buddy Johnny Rescue McGee was taking off on a wave, and I'm way down the line, 20 plus yards, and I take off. He got so mad at me. He didn't talk to me for like a week. So long story short, I felt that I could stay in front of him, not interfering with his wave. And did I theoretically take off on him? Probably yes. But I think the way our waves break, there's some gray area in there. But just to give you an idea, I was talking to Ford, aka JC Dingwall, is funny, and Kent Nelson, one of our good local surfers too, and they kind of had the same take on closest to the peak, but it kind of made it sort of simple when Ford said, "Well, if the guy's up riding, it's his wave, isn't it?" Is it just that simple, Austin? Is it? He was up first. Is it his wave? I don't know.
No, it's just not that simple.
I agree.
So,
I agree.
one of the things that we talked to with a couple different people, and kind of people were talking about seniority, and they were talking about like age and experience. Sometimes when they said seniority, it wasn't always,
The age of the person.
it was maybe the experience of the person, right? And so there were all these factors, that's my thing is there's so many factors in that, as far as like, and we're talking about now mostly being out on the lineup with other experienced surfers, so that's a real tricky thing, I'd say, here in Surfside, it's not quite as like there's not a lot of people that are yelling people off a whole lot because there's so many places.
Typically.
Like we have so many waves, right? There's not one place that the waves are breaking. Even at the jetty, if it's breaking real good, there's probably 3 or 4 different spots where people are surfing.
Yeah, it's spread out more.
And we kind of call it in front of each house. We look at in front of this house, in front of that house. So it's hard, it's harder to say. How many times have me and you dropped in on a wave together and I'm like, follow me, or you say I'll follow you. I could tell you, like me and David Cunningham, there's plenty of times back in the day we'd surf and, he'd go high and I'd go low and we'd try to cross over. So that's one of the things, but
and I'm okay with that with good surfers, competent surfers. I know you're not going to injure me. We're going to have fun. We can share the waves. I was talking to Larry McKenzie, another local guy, and he was telling me that he's a real nice guy and a good ambassador, and he will yield and let a lesser experienced surfer, a more novice surfer, take his wave a lot of times, and that's very generous. And I don't want to misconstrue kind of what we're talking about. We want to encourage all people to start surfing. If you don't, take it up, get a board, rent one, and learn. But we're trying to make it safe for,
you could get
everybody.
You could get one of those. You could get one of those soft tops that comes with the instructions, right?
Right. It was funny, man. Our buddy down in South Padre Island, Gaines Burns, and this will be a little difficult to see, but he bought a soft top from a surf shop, and inside there were kind of rules of etiquette and instructions. And Austin and I were looking at this earlier, and we're like, this is pretty interesting. I'm just going to touch on it real quick. So you can now buy a soft top. And
pretty soon we'll be able to put that up on our screen. We'll have some, we'll do some editing. We'll pop that up on our screen, but we're still low tech right now.
But it's kind of cool. It's got little figures of surfers and stuff, so you can get a soft top with no lessons at all, and you just go right out. But it is interesting. It says pick the right location, which was, I think, rule number 1. And then, like, rule number 2 was paddling out, don't cut off another surfer. And it says give right away to the person closest to the peak. And there's just 2 or 3 different things that it says, but it comes with instructions. We thought that to be pretty cool. So in speaking with different people, I was able to talk to Rob Mesa, the head TGSA judge. He was in town, did a great job for us. And he says, closest to the peak and the person that is most established on the wave up first. So it is gray.
But that's the contest rule, right?
That's the contest rule.
That's the contest rule.
And then I said, does that apply to free surf? And he says more or less. So I mean, more or less.
I would say if you're in a place where, maybe, also if there's less waves, right? And everybody's like trying to get a good wave. I'm not gonna. If you're fixing to take off on a wave that looks like it's really good and it's going to be really good for you, like break, and you're going to go down the line, like I'm going to pull back, right? Because it's going to be real good. Now, if it looks like it's just going to be a wave and it's going to kind of cruise down it, I might drop in front of you and say, follow me, or, wait till you go and try to go behind you or something like that. Or, hey, I'm going left, you're going right. But, like I said, that's again. Now, one of the things we want to talk about, I know we have everybody listening here that, some people are expert surfers, and all the way down to people who probably don't surf at all. So, some of the people who are trying to just get into surfing, like we want to, try to encourage them to surf, because we want them to get better and get out in the lineup and have
100%.
fun. But, we don't want them to get hurt or get anybody else hurt, because there's times when people, come out and maybe they shouldn't be in the lineup because you see, oh, there's people out there surfing, that's where I should be. And that's not always true. If you see some people out there surfing and look like they're really good surfers and you don't really know how to surf, that's not really where you want to be, right? You want to
That's
be
good advice
You want
for
to
a
be
beginner.
somewhere where you can learn. I always like to throw analogies out there. You don't go to like like the park, in Harlem and go play basketball where there's like all these great basketball players
Yeah.
and try to come up and play basketball and like you just learned how.
Yeah.
You're not even going to get on the basketball court, right? Fortunately for a lot of people, they can still get out there and try to surf and learn, but they got to learn in a different spot. So we want to encourage them to this is how you learn, this is the places,
That's true.
and then not just pop out there.
It's funny you should say that because it says here, I'm reading a little bit further on Rule 1, and it says, do not paddle out in the middle of a packed lineup. Right here, rule
There you
number
go.
one.
There you
Because
go.
I guess they're assuming the guy buying this board is probably a novice, and I think that's great advice. And it really comes down to safety. And I think in Surfside, we do a good job in encouraging people to come out. I know when we're in the lineup, if we see somebody and they're struggling and they can't get a wave, we're always giving them pointers and scoot up on your board how to paddle. But it comes down to a safety issue. And Austin and I were talking about something, and I said last year, 2 times I got dropped in on. And it was a situation, and once it was explained to me, I understand it. So I'm paddling, I get up on the wave, and I'm doing my thing. And now here's a surfer that I can see has got less experience. I can tell by the way he's on the board, by the way he's doing the death paddle, and he's going to catch this wave come hell or high water. And I was kind of, damn, this guy's really going to take off on me. And then he did, and I didn't go too crazy. And I just was saying, hey, I'm here because I don't want to get hurt. And Austin was explaining to me something that is true and important. He don't see me because he is like a horse with blinders and total tunnel vision, dude. He didn't even see me. Oh, he was like, I got to catch this wave, and what if I get it? I'm going to
Right.
stand up. I don't care what.
Right.
He
Yeah.
didn't see me.
He's not experienced and he's maybe finally going to get a good wave.
Yeah.
And he's just like everything going on this side of him, he doesn't see. So, and that's why you don't want to be in the lineup where you're still kind of learning because not only could he hurt someone else, he could hurt himself and all, there's all kinds of things like that. So yeah,
It's happened to you. It happened to me twice last year, and so I paddle out, back out, and I think I kind of gave him stink eye, but I apologize to you if I did that. But I didn't realize that you don't really know the rules. So, is it me? So am I supposed to explain to him, hey, here's how, do I paddle over and say, hey, dude, this is how it works? I really wanted to do that, but I thought, man, I was stepping out of my boundaries.
I think I think that's something we have to kind of do. It's not like
over there and say something.
you just, you don't have to be, you don't have to be,
Yeah, I don't
you
know.
don't have to be a jerk about it. You could just be like, hey man, tell him, hey, this is kind of how it is in the water and you got to be careful. We don't want you to get hurt. I mean, it's not like it was back in the 70s and 80s and 90s out here where there's some localism and all that all that
Right,
good stuff.
right.
But and there's places. But here's the thing: if that guy does that in another place, it might not be as nice. There's
100%.
So that's why we try to educate people. We give when me and Margaret do surf lessons, we don't just do like I'm not just trying to paddle, stand up and you get a picture like. I don't even care if you're from, the Midwest or Northeast, wherever you never surfed. We're at least going to give you some etiquette instructions and some, try to teach you how to surf. It's not just push. So I don't want you to go out there, green, and get in anybody's way and get hurt. So, I mean, I have, and there's a fine line too, of people who are on the edge of getting out there into the lineup, but maybe that's a whole nother subject.
And this is not practiced as radically here as in other places in the world, Hawaii, and you name a dozen places where there's a hierarchy and there's a kind of a senior rule and people that are put in their time and you just don't mosey on over there and take their waves and they hold court.
Right.
And that's just the way that is. We don't really do that here.
So how, we're all started off, not being able to surf, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're not like Kelly Slater, or Tommy's boy,
Yeah,
Zach
Taylor.
Zach Taylor. So when did you know, hey, I can go get in the lineup? Was there times, because I can tell you there's times when I was surfing when I was younger where I was looking at the guys over at the pier, one of them, KP, Kerry Pitts. I remember, you're like surfing, you got like KP and Jesse Arsola and some other guys, and you see them surfing and we're kids, and you're like, well, I'm not going over there because I'm not good enough. I can't surf in that spot, right?
I went through the same thing.
You know?
I knew I wasn't good enough to surf at the bait house at the old pier. There were guys like Jimmy Evans, Doug Donahue, Bingo. Come on, man. Bingo had a lot of wave count. His wave count was always high. Let's just leave it at that. But it took me forever to work my way into that lineup to where I can even get one of those waves. So, yeah, there was a hierarchy thing, and, we just knew it like you knew it.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean now there's so many more people, and surfing's really popular. I mean, it was real popular then, but there's, social media. There's everything now, right? Movies,
mainstream.
And, and surfing's super popular right now. It's really
mainstream.
It's really hot right now. So you're gonna have a lot of people who are trying to get into it. People are trying to be fit, being outside, all those good things. So there's a lot of new people, and there's also people who aren't trying to be like rippers, right? There's people who are just trying to have fun and surf. Right, that they're not trying to be like, oh man, I'm the best surfer out there. I've plenty of people that tell me,
and there's room for them,
right? And so and there's plenty of people out there in the lineup that are just decent, good surfers that are having a blast, and they're not trying to just rip, but they know how to catch waves, they know how to turn, they know. So, one of the things is getting out there and practicing and in your spot, in your space, away from other people, and then you can gradually get into the lineup. And I think that. I like to tell people that if you're honest with yourself, you'll know. Like, if if you should be out there with those guys, And so really the easiest thing to do is just say, well, I'm going to surf over here, and once I get better, then I'll be over there with them.
But truth be known, especially on weekends, we'll go out there, and there's people out there, and you can just see they're beginners, and we encourage them. You can tell by the way they're sitting on their board. And, there's a learning curve, but, I always try to weigh the fact is, how dangerous is it, for me. And so I will yield as well to a novice surfer. If he's going to get the wave, I'll let him go.
Yeah, if it's his wave.
If he hesitates, I'm gone.
Yeah. I have like a 3-wave rule with anybody. I don't care how good you are. If we're out there in the lineup and you miss 3 waves, I'm going. Like, I'm not, if I let you have 3 waves,
it's your turn. It's your turn now.
So, but that's every lineup. Also, like some other guys said, there's going to be some seniority and some, hierarchy in the lineup, and that's different than other things.
Our correspondent Stefan Lewis pretty much simplified it. Goes, it's the guy at the apex. I haven't seen an apex here in a long time, but I respect what he's saying. He is exactly right. It's the guy at the apex, and he was telling us kind of a little bit about the Corpus Christi scene. And there's a hierarchy there. Believe that. When you go there and surf, you'll find out in a quick hurry. We're way more mellow here in Surfside. Wouldn't you suggest that?
I would say for the most part, it's there's I mean,
it's a lot of heavy surfing down there.
There's a lot more of us older guys down here in Surfside surfing than there is.
Maybe that's it.
I would say there's younger, but also there's, I don't know if it's shortboard, longboard, or whatever, but there's more people in the lineup there, right? I think consistent, the same people, So maybe they kind of get a pecking order. I mean, we recognize people, but
and okay. Closest to the peak, first one up. So if I'm the closest to the peak and first one up, I guess nobody can take off on me. Sometimes it's hard
unless
for me
you're my friend.
Unless you're my friend, but it's hard for me to do those two things sometimes at the same time.
Yeah.
I'll be closest to the peak and first to my feet. Getting to my feet sometimes is tough.
So I guess the thing is everybody this. I feel like we're going to get a lot of comments on this one. So
that's what we want. Comments.
Everybody leave your comments down in the below, and when we post the link to the episode on Facebook, man, start a conversation on that. You can go through there and everybody can talk about what they think. And we're going to have, this is going to be a 2-part episode for sure.
100%.
Because we want to really get into maybe some instructions for the beginners.
Yeah.
Of how to go out there and the places to, the places to surf and not surf, as far as some of the breaks, like we were talking the other day, Matagorda is definitely not for beginners.
No.
So you don't want to, I always tell Brett Hopkins, all the beginners should go to Galveston.
Yes.
I'm just kidding, Brett.
Start off in Galveston and work your way back down to Surfside. Brett's going to be so mad at you.
But anyways, so I think leave all the comments, so that way we can talk about what they want to hear. Because I think that it'd be nice to go on on our next
episode.
to kind of get into what some of the comments were and so other people thought.
Dude, I want to know everybody's opinion because it's so subjective. Like I say, we're the only sport that doesn't really have a governing body that tells us what to do. We can get on our boards, paddle out there, and make our own rules up. But there is some basic rules, and we want to not enforce them, but educate people about them. But then again, excuse me, Austin, you probably know this, and I spent 20 plus years in California, and there's breaks out there, Malibu, San Onofre, Doheny, quite a few breaks that everybody goes. And if you don't go, you're expected to go. You're expected to take off on people. And then if you don't, it's considered a sign of weakness.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you got to go, and there's also places like we were talking about that, you paddle in there and they might give you a wave. They might, okay, you look like you surf and give you a wave, but man, you better catch that wave.
No doubt.
If they give you that wave, you better catch it and you better look like you know what you're doing because you might not get another one. Now you do good. They'll let you, there's some places like that they might be quick to let you in just to check you, because if you don't go good, they're, and that's a good thing about learning to surf, down here is one, it's a little, I'd say it's a little more laid back. And two, man, if you learn to paddle out in Surfside or Galveston on a rough day or Matagorda or Corpus, Bob Hall on a rough day, once you've been surfing for a while and you learn how to paddle out in these places, and you can surf on a big day in Texas, you're going to be amazed how good you are when you go somewhere else. So, but yeah, as far as I think maybe, let's see, is there anything else we want to talk about on this one? And before we ask everybody to just kind of leave some. Yeah,
I think this is better to kind of leave it sort of open because we want to get everybody's comments because then we can kind of give the feedback on it and see what people think. Like I said, I think I wound up being more confused and the more people I talked to than I had it more sorted out. Now I know, look, I'm an old surfer. You got the peak, you're going. I got the peak, I'm going. Okay, that's how simple it should be. It just is not that simple. It just is not. And again, we govern ourselves, but do we?
I think that each break kind of governs itself, and there's always going to be a few people out there that are the guys that are going to say something or be more vocal, and those, that's part of having a surf break. There's going to be people out there. Now, I think that we all could do a better job of maybe instead of just ignoring that person that's, messing up and just kind of whatever, maybe going over and saying, hey man, you shouldn't be doing this, or you should go out over here. And then maybe it'll be easier, but sometimes that's kind of awkward. So,
but I don't know.
Let us know what you think. Is it something that we need to be more vocal on out there? Not, being out there being crazy, but just saying, hey, this is what we should do and kind of helping people out. Or is it just one of those things?
It's a good question. So, it really is.
A lot of that.
I mean, it's a great topic. It's an interesting topic. I think it's one that is. It's been going on since the very first surfers. The Tahitians like to ride the waves together, and the Hawaiians, that was considered.
Oh yeah, all those old
social event.
All those old guys in the '60s. You saw that like 20 guys taking off waves, and they were,
Yeah.
But on with a good surfer, I have no problem. On a longboard with another good surfer on the same wave, man, I have no problem at all. So,
Me too.
I think maybe we're just gonna kind of leave it at that and let everybody kind of leave us some comments. Your suggestions of what
and some stories about interference. Have you been taken off on? Did you have a bad experience? Have you helped people? Are you the agitator or the one that helps people?
Yeah, we'll just go right into it. Maybe heck, if we get enough feedback and comments, maybe we'll like put another one out before next week.
Yeah, I'd like to do that a little bit quicker because it's a great
look,
topic.
We were almost going to make it before the battery died.
Oh, well, this is awesome, man. So now you're hearing us but not seeing us. So on that behalf, we'd like to say thank you to Austin Campbell for hosting this Texas Gulf Surfer podcast and the beautiful Surf Station Surf Shop. And over here, you guys can get everything from a fin screw to a 10-2. I'm just saying.
All right, guys. We'll see y'all next time. Peace out.
It's funny. It's fun.